Hello everyone. In this lesson we will learn a few cool tricks to do fast mental calculations involving multiplication. But let's first talk about multiplication itself. Why is it so special? Arithmetic, as you know, deals with numbers and their addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. After learning to identify numbers, young learners then learn to manipulate them using arithmetic. And this skill is of great importance since these four pillars of arithmetic continue being used in our day-to-day lives, be it at work, at home, when with friends, or even when alone and reflecting about things in general. These videos focus on multiplication, and multiplication is special. Let's take a look at a simple example. Say we have 3 bags of apples and each bag has 8 apples. Now how many apples do we have in total? One way to do this would be to add all of them. So we add 8 plus 8 plus 8, which gives us 24. But with multiplication we can write this as 3 times 8 or 3 multiplied by 8. And if you know your times tables, the answer is obvious, 24. Multiplication is simply a rapid way of adding the same number over and over, which is why it is also known as repeated addition. So 2 into 3 simply means adding 2 3 times. And interestingly, it also gives us the same result as adding 3 2 times. Let's try it out. 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6, and so is 3 plus 3. So here's your first tip. When multiplying a bunch of numbers, the order does not matter. We will see when and why to do that a little later in this lesson. But the above example did not really demonstrate the power of multiplication. So let's look at another example. The top 100 performers of company X got a bonus of $1,342 each. What is the total bonus amount paid by the company? If we try to solve this with addition, it would mean adding 1,342 100 times. That would be time consuming, very time consuming. But with multiplication, the answer is easily arrived at. You may have already worked it out. It's 134,200. So as you can see, multiplication is a very powerful tool. Now let's look at some terminology used with multiplication. When we say 3 into 7 is equal to 21, we can be more specific about each number. In this example, 3 is called the multiplicand and 7 the multiplier. And the answer 21 is called the product. 3 and 7 are also called factors of 24. Now with this overview and theory behind us, let's now see some multiplication tricks. What is 25 times 42 times 4? Our first instinct is to read these numbers from left to right and also solve the problem in that order. Nothing wrong with that, but is that the most optimal way of solving this problem? Okay, now let's juggle the numbers around a bit. The problem statement can be rewritten as 25 times 4 times 42. This should give us the same answer as the first problem statement, since, as we saw earlier, the order of numbers does not matter when multiplying. Let's now solve this juggled problem statement. 25 times 4 is 100. We are then left with 100 times 42, and this is easy to solve. The answer is 4,200. So here's our next step. When solving multiplication problems, see if you can change a multiplier to an easier to handle number such as one of these. Okay, let's move on to another example. What is 55 times 47? Here is one way of solving this problem. We first multiply 55 with 7. 5 sevens are 35 and we carry over the 3. 5 sevens are 35 again adding the 3 we get 38. We then multiply 55 with 4. 5 fours are 20, and we carry over the 2. 5 fours are 20 again, and adding the 2 we get 22. As you can see, we made 2 iterations to get to this stage. Could we have done better? Yes, we could have if we paid a bit more attention to our numbers. One of the numbers had the same digits, and this would have worked to our advantage. Let's see how by interchanging the multiplicand and the multiplier. We multiply 47 with 5. 5 sevens are 35. We carry over the 3. 5 fours are 20, and adding the 3 we get 23. Do we need another iteration? No, we don't, since we have another 5 here, and we already have the result of multiplying 47 with 5, which we can just reuse. So here's our next tip. A good mathematician has a well-developed number sense. And what is number sense? As one regularly talks about numbers, uses them in computations, uses mental math, and accurately estimates computations, one becomes more flexible in working with numbers. In other words, one develops better number sense. Now before moving on to our last tip, here is an exercise for you. Take a look at this problem, please. Do the numbers have any attributes that will help making the calculation easier? Pause the video and think how you would approach the solution, please. Okay, let's look at one possible solution. We will treat 753 as a multiplicand and 842 as the multiplier. We first multiply 753 with 2. 2 3s are 6, 2 5s are 10, and we carry over the 1. 2 7s are 14, and adding the 1 we get 15, and our first iteration gives us 1506. Do we now need to multiply 753 with 4? No, we don't. 4 is a multiple of 2. It is twice as large. So the result of multiplying it with 753 should be twice as large as our first result. Our second result is 3012. And what about multiplying 753 with 8? Not needed again, since 8 is twice as large as 4. So our result is twice as large as 3012, which is 6024. As this example demonstrates, pattern searching may take a bit of time, but the rewards are much larger. Alright, let's look at one last tip. Here are 2 exercises. Which exercise is faster to solve mentally? The second one, right? But both yield the same answer. As a matter of fact, the second exercise can be derived from the first. Let's see how. Focus on the first exercise, please. As you can see, multiplying two two-digit numbers is not that easy, so let's try and simplify things. What would happen if I multiplied one number by 2 and divided the second number by 2? The answer should remain the same, right? But interestingly, solving the equation suddenly looks a bit easier. Let's do it one more time. Better? Okay, once more. That looks much better than 24 times 16. Many of us would be able to find the result of 192 times 2 mentally. The answer is 384. This tip has a name. It's called multiplication by doubling and halving. It's a handy little tip, so please keep it in mind. And this brings us to the end of the session. We started the session by looking at a few key terms used when multiplying numbers. We also introduced the concept of developing a number sense. We said that good mathematicians have a well-developed number sense. We then looked at a few number patterns that help find quicker solutions to multiplication problems. This video has, however, only scratched the surface. There are many more useful tips and concepts to follow, so please stay tuned.